I filmed the Nike commercial, which was like, just mind blowing to me. And it was a 2-day shoot. So at the end of day one, I kind of came back to the trailer and saw that ESPN had launched online my photos for the body issue. So I was naked in a magazine and shooting a Nike commercial on the same day.
Speaking of magazines, you were Body Issue.
I wasn't the Body Issue.
That was badass.
Yeah. That was probably the most amazing day was when that came out.
Yeah.
Was the first day of filming the Nike commercial.
Yeah.
So I filmed I filmed the Nike commercial, which was like, just mind blowing to me. And it was a 2-day shoot. So at the end of day one, I kind of came back to the trailer and saw that ESPN had launched online my photos for the body issue. So I was naked in a magazine and shooting a Nike commercial on the same day.
I mean,
yeah, a very
baller.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I mean, it was a real turning point because
Totally.
I had, 6 years before that, I have this great story about crying that I don't really like to cry. And I grew up, trying to hide my tears and in a family that was like, suck it up, don't cry in public. Like it didn't feel like crying was a safe thing to do. And as an athlete, I'm also taught, don't cry, don't show weakness. You're supposed to hide your pain. So I have all of these very negative emotions about crying. And I had my sort of breakdown of figuring out that I had to transition on my birthday in, I think it was 2009. It was just in a New York City restaurant, this moment of, somebody came over and asked us what we wanted to order. And I just started to cry when they left. It was because they came over and said, "Hey ladies, can I take your order?" And that was just like, for whatever reason, that was the moment where I was like, I can't imagine living my life another year like this.
Wow.
And, so I have this like memory of crying in the restaurant, my partner saying, "Do you need to leave?" Like go out to the sidewalk, crying on the sidewalk in New York City, but it's New York. Nobody cares. So they're just buzzing by. It's like not a big deal, and then coming to that realization of like, I have to do something.
Yeah.
6 years later, I'm in a trailer, with all the Nike people and the film production crew, and I'm naked in a magazine and, they're like toasting me. And it was just like such a powerful moment because I knew the impact of being in that commercial that was global. Like I think it dropped during swimming in the Rio Olympics. There was not a bigger moment in sports than Michael Phelps swimming in Rio, right?
Yep.
Like for that time period,
Yep.
Swimming, gymnastics. I was like, I'm in both of these moments in the commercial break, right? Like globally. And
So great.
the reach, the visibility of that, knowing that, you didn't know who I was, you saw it and like, that was cool. Grandparents having conversations with their grandkids about it, like just like such visibility. And then like total visibility of being naked in a magazine, which I never thought would have happened, but it was just an opportunity for me to like really reclaim and take power of and ownership of my body, which is my machine, right? Which gets me my athletic accomplishments, but that I've been so at odds with for so long that I just didn't feel like I was at home in for so long. And it was just a real moment of being able to share that with other people and to have the confidence to share it with other people.
Yeah.
Because a year before that, I would have said, hell no, you would never see me, in that. And it was something that I wanted to do. So I found myself crying in that trailer just as people were like, celebrating, like in the same way that I thought I never thought my life would be like this, 6 years before.
Yep.
It was that full circle moment of being like, wow, I really never thought my life would be like this, but it's amazing. And
So
I know
powerful.
It's so powerful.
That's awesome. Going back to the body issue, I've always wondered how they do that. Like, what is that process like?
So,
I mean, there's something so inspiring, number one, about all these different shapes of bodies to begin with in the pro athlete realm. And so what is that? What's that like? Really,
I mean, it's just such a touching issue, right? Because like it's so empowering to see the different body types, to see, I always say that there's not just one way to be a man. There's not just one way to be a woman. There's not just one way to be a trans person. So we are all just representatives of ourself, right? And that issue really shows the diversity of bodies, of power, of what like an amazing shot put a thrower is going to be very different than an amazing soccer player or basketball player or rower or, just we all look so different and we're all so good at what we do that it's really amazing. I was featured in October 2015 issue of ESPN magazine for their coming out issue. It was the same issue that Gus Kenworthy came out in.
Oh, yes.
So it was a really cool issue to be a part of.
good.
My first like really big spread in the magazine. Like spread is okay to use there because I have my clothes on, but
yeah, man, you're in a
like,
safe
wait
place.
a second.
You're good.
So as I was doing that, I don't know what compelled me to say this, but I said to the writer the first time I met her, like, hey, I'd really like to be in the body issue. And she's like, I was like, yeah, the ESPN body issue. Like, I just kind of like floated it out there, and it manifested because she was like, oh, my editor of the story is actually the editor of that issue. I'll let her know.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, what have I done? And I didn't hear anything about it. So that was October, and it was probably February or March of the following year where I got a phone call, and they were like, hey, it's from ESPN. Want to know if you want to be interested in being a part of the body issue. And before they even said the last word, I was standing up. I took the call at work. I'm in my office, like door shut, standing up, jumping in my office, like fist pump, like just so pumped. And I was like, yes, I'll do it. And they're like, okay, so it's a nude shoot, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, no, we don't Photoshop anything. You're totally naked, just so you know. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then I was like, wait a second. Wait a second. So there were definitely like 2 months of trying to figure out how to contort my body in a way to not have, certain things on camera as they, definitely want like a helmet placed here or a leg placed here. They were so incredibly respectful. It was an awesome experience. The photographer who shot me was amazing, Benedict Evans, and we did some other work for, I think it was for ESPN later on. And it was, they come there, you have a robe on, they kind of set everything up with a dummy model, and then they bring me in. They had somebody sort of back into the shot facing away from me. So it's just me and the photographer looking at each other. They would back into the shot and grab my robe like this and then walk away. Wow. And then, whoever else was there, they would say, avert your eyes. And everyone would just kind of look off in the distance. And then it was just the two of us. And, the images would pop right up and I could see it and he could see it and then make adjustments. And then the guy would back in with the robe, hand me the robe, and then I'd be robed and then I'd be on to the next thing. So
wow.
It was 10 hours of flexing while naked.
Oh,
so
I was so sore.
I was so sore. I was so
That's
so
like
sore.
Bodybuilding show type shit.
I was so sore. And like, my whole thing was like, I mean, obviously, like, there's some vanity in this. I wanted to look good, right? Like,
yeah.
I was just like, everyone is going to see this, and it's forever on the internet. So, I sent Benedict a message beforehand. I was like, can you make me look badass? Like, that's all I want is just like to look super badass. And I think he did a pretty good job. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would be like, can you get rid of my farmer's tan? Like maybe even up those tan lines a little bit.
I can't remember if I had them. I mean, I must have because it was right before the World Championship in Spain. So I was like in peak condition.
Tan line, though.
Yeah. I feel very proud of now I have short
singlet
lines
tan lines
and a sock line right now. So I have this very tan section mid leg right now, but I haven't done a whole lot for my arms this year.
If there's anything I've seen a lot of lately with golf courses and everything opening now is a lot of the short sleeve tan lines. Like, you went golfing over the weekend, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep.